All right, recording in three, two, and one.
Okay, so it's like Ahsoka, only it's animated.
All right. Welcome to episode 227 of Nerdery Murdering.
Big 227, I'm Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Jeffrey with the Murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows, of the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. Wanted to remind everybody that my book, my debut novel, Prime Numbers, is available for sale, and there is merchandise. If you go to the Prime Numbers Facebook page, there's links. It is being sold, the ebook exclusively on Amazon. But on the Facebook page for Prime Numbers, you can also find links to the merchandise where if you wish to show off your Prime Numbers fandom, you can consider purchasing from there. There's some cool stuff on there. But please do check out the book, and more than anything else, please, if you can, please leave a review. That really, really helps me. It helps the algorithm, it helps others find it. The more reviews we have, the better that appears on search lists for people looking for that type of book. So check that out. That was kind of my big thing for the day. Do you got anything? Are you ready to step over to the nerdy side of the house?
I want to step over to the nerdery side of the
Go
house.
for it.
All right, we are discussing Star Wars on our ongoing series. We discussed Andor. Concurrently to the storyline of Andor is another story running at the same time. It is Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
Star Wars Rebels is an mannequin, a
Mannequin?
mannequin,
A
a
mannequin?
mannequin
A mannequin.
an American animated science fiction television series produced by Lucasfilm Animation and set in the Star Wars universe. It takes place 14 years after Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and progresses towards the event of the original film, A New Hope, or Star Wars, in 1977. It depicts the Galactic Empire hunting down the last of the Jedi while a fledgling a rebellion against the Empire emerges. The visual style of the series is inspired by the original Star Wars trilogy concept art by Ralph McQuarrie. The series features new characters along with some of the original trilogy from the previous animated series, Star Wars The Clone Wars, 2008, 2014, and 2020. The series comprises 4 seasons. The series premiered as a 1 hour television film, Spark of Rebellion, on October 3rd, 2014, on the Disney Channel prior to the premiere of the series on October 13 on Disney's XD. The second season premiered on June 20th, 2015, with a 1 hour television film, The Siege of Lothal. The third season premiered on September 24th, 2016, with the television film Steps into Shadows. The fourth and final season premiered on October 16th, 2017, with another 1 hour television film, Heroes of Mandalore. Its final episode aired on March 5th, 2018. Dave Filoni, Simon Kinberg, and Greg Weisman served as executive producers of the first season. Weisman left the show after its first season. Filoni was also the supervising director for the first 2 seasons, a role he relinquished after accepting a promotion that expanded his creative role into overseeing all Lucasfilm animation projects. He chose Justin Ridge to succeed him for the third season. Filoni reassumed the role for the fourth season. Rebels has been generally well received with several award wins and nominations. The show was nominated for the Critics' Choice Television Awards for Best Animated Series and a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Programming. Rebels became the first recipient of the Saturn Award for Best Animated Series on Television, winning for its final 2 seasons. A number of tie-in medias have been released to expand upon the series lore, such as the comic book series Kanan, the novel A New Dawn, the novel series Thrawn. Characters, storylines, and elements introduced in the series would also appear in subsequent Star Wars media. The series storyline continues in the Disney Plus live action series Ahsoka. So, what is Rebels? The first season of Rebels basically takes place on one planet. There's a little bit of running around, but for the most part, it takes place on this planet called Lothal,
Let me pause
which
you there. Let me pause you
Mhm.
there. So, when I found out that Zig was doing Rebels, I was like, man, I've never watched Rebels. I probably ought to at least watch a little bit of it. And it's not because I didn't think it would be good or anything. I just hadn't got into it. So I started watching it this week, and boy, if I haven't just torn through it. Watch, I stayed up
Our
late
YouTube
Friday.
playlist has the first season.
Oh,
Yeah, the the
it's
the
on
first
Dis
full season is in our YouTube playlist,
it's all
uninterrupted.
it's all on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I stayed up late Friday night. Just I'm like, okay, just one more episode, just one more episode. The animation is very well done.
Yes.
The I'm not into the second season yet, so I'm still finishing up season one. One of the last episodes. I wasn't the very last one. Of the last episodes I watched was the Lando Calrissian episode, which was funny as all get out. But you said what is Rebels, and that's why I wanted to cut in. Let me tell you what Star Wars Rebels is. Star Wars Rebels, for those of you who have a need, for those of you who have a little itch, Star Wars Rebels is a Star Wars universe style Firefly.
Hmm.
It's a little ragtag group that's out there doing mission, and they're trying to make money to make sure they have fuel and food and everything like that. They do jobs for people for money, and so when it was funny, it didn't hit me until you said that. What is Star Wars Rebels? That exact moment it hit me. This is very Firefly-ish.
Yeah. Firefly in the Star Wars universe. And what's
Yeah.
amazing is like the fourth season, the whole Mandalorian season. The Mandalorian takes a lot of cues from it. As a matter of fact, there are characters that end up appearing in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett out of this series.
Hmm.
And I'm so glad that Dave Filoni went from basically running this series to taking everything over because he's just plugging it into everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Filoni and John Favreau, because those are the two big wigs at Disney now, as far where it comes to Star Wars, all things Star Wars and Marvel. Filoni and John Favreau have done such a brilliant job. I know there's a lot of haters out there right now for
mhm,
a lot of the different Marvel movies or
mhm.
Marvel stuff that's out there, and there's a point to it. There's some of it which is really, really good, and there's some of it which just isn't. Um,
Yeah, but the thing about the Marvel movies now, is that they're like the comic books
mhm.
were. Yeah, you'll get a series that's running great, and there'll be a great storyline that's running, and then you'll get one that's like, eh, I could take or leave this one, and then you'll get another one that's really great and running on,
Yeah.
and you got a bunch of crossovers and stuff like that. To me, the Marvel cinematic universe now is way more like a comic book series than it was, say, 10 years ago.
Somewhat, and I couldn't disagree with you on that. Yes, somewhat. I'm still very much enjoying the Marvel stuff. I loved Miss Marvel.
Mhm.
I thought that was great. I liked Ironheart. I thought Ironheart was really
Oh,
good.
Ironheart was really good. Yeah.
Echo, while good, was a little slow for me.
Yeah. Echo was kind of messed up. But then again, Echo's kind of a weird character anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, agreed. The Eternals, I did not like at all.
Oh, I love the Eternals.
I did not. I did not like it at all. I have not watched Thunderbolts yet. I think it just came available for free on Disney Plus, so I'll be getting into that
I
soon.
saw Thunderbolts in the theater. It was good.
Um, I liked Captain America: Brave New World. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people did not. I like it, but I also like a good spy thriller, and that's
Hmm.
what Brave New World is. I think they're doing a lot of good, and I can't wait to see what's coming next. I have yet to see the Fantastic Four, and I need to. I can't wait for Doctor Doom to be the big bad because it's funny. There's a lot of people that think, wow, we're going really far past Rebels. Here we go. There's a lot of people that think by having Thanos the big bad in the first MCU phase 1 through 3, I think is what it is, or maybe it was 1 through 4. Um, how do you top that? Because Thanos is a big bad. He has the most powerful gems in the universe, making him the most powerful being in the universe. How do you top that? Guess what, kids? Doctor Doom can.
Hmm.
It's pretty incredible, but he can. There's other characters out there that don't have Infinity Stones that are just as powerful and badass as Thanos in their own right with their own powers and abilities. So I'm very excited for Doctor Doom. I think it's a very exciting time with Marvel. Um, but anyway, I went way too far past. Star Wars Rebels. Uh, so far, my viewing of it, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Is it campy at times? Yes.
Well, it's for
Um,
kids, or
ev-
originally it was for kids. It's
right,
for kids and fans.
right. And I think that's why I didn't watch it in the first place because I thought it might be too kiddish for me. I like my Star Wars to be my Star Wars. Um, but I've enjoyed it so far. There's little things that kind of annoyed me. A perfect example when Ezra infiltrates the Imperial Academy as a stormtrooper candidate or
Hmm.
a kid. The tests for the stormtroopers was silly. It
Hmm.
was goofy, and it's like, really, this is your test that they can be a good stormtrooper. And so I thought that was a little silly, but overall, I've loved the progression of the storyline. I've loved how this has gone. I love the flow. Um, it's fun. It's just fun, and that's why I've been tearing through it because it's just fun.
Yeah, it's a fun series.
Yeah.
Um, I'll give you a little bit of background on what the series is. So, again, 14 years after the fall of both the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order and the rise of the Galactic Empire, a group of rebels called the Spectres unite aboard a light freighter called the Ghost. It is a Corellian freighter, so it does kind of have some similarities to the Millennium Falcon, although it's better. um, it begins to conduct covert operations against Imperial forces on and around the planet Lothal, again, because it centers mostly on this planet Lothal, which is on the edge of the
The Outer
galactic
Rim.
space. Yeah,
It's in the Outer Rim.
it does take place on other planets, but the first season is primarily centered around Lothal because the people of Lothal were basically an egalitarian society, pretty happy. But as it showcases how the imperial presence becomes more omnipresent, just like in Andor. Um, Taylor Gray plays Ezra Bridge. He's a teenage street kid who's taken in by Kanan to be trained as a Jedi. Vanessa Marshall is Hera Syndulla, a Twi'lek pilot turned rebel commander, later general, and daughter of Ryloth, freedom fighter Sham Syndulla. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus,
Oh, I
formerly
didn't
known as
realize that. I didn't pay
yeah,
attention to that.
formerly known as Jedi Padawan Caleb Doom, uh, who survived the events of Order 66. He is Ezra's mentor and leader of the Ghost Crew. Tia Sirkar as Sabine Wren, a young Mandalorian warrior who's fixated on art. Steve Blum is Garazeb Zeb Aurelius, a former Lasat honor guard member and rebel who wants the Empire to pay for massacring his people.
I love Zeb or
Zev,
Zeb.
yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, and see, the Lasat were originally one of the drawings for Chewbacca originally was the Lasat,
Hmm.
um, but they changed it to be more teddy bear like. So they kept the design and made it a Lasat instead of a Wookiee.
The only thing that set me off
Oh, and
about,
Dave Filoni is Chopper.
oh really?
Yeah,
Um,
credited as himself prior. Yeah, the series finale they finally say that Chopper played by Dave Filoni. In the titles, if you notice, Chopper played by Chopper. He's an
um,
astromech droid who is reckless. Chopper also kills people.
yes,
That's
yes,
another thing that goes on in this series. This series, it's not like GI Joe. You don't see anybody parachuting out of their out of their vehicles.
no, no.
Stormtroopers die.
Step back to Zev real quick. Sorry.
Mhm.
The one thing that I noticed on Zev, and it was a little bothersome. The um the artistry for Zev, the pupil on his eye, and I don't know if this is intended or not, looks like it's a hole.
Mhm.
It looks like there's no covering over it, and it's just this hole in his
Yeah,
eye.
you can just stick your finger in it.
Yeah, so that part was it kind of throws me off every time they do a close up of his eye,
Yeah,
and I'm like, God, it looks like it's a hole. And I do understand, yes, you do have a hole in your eye, but you have a membrane over it. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying for this. It doesn't look like there's a membrane over that hole.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It looks like you stick your finger in it.
yeah,
Gross.
yeah,
Although I wouldn't stick my finger in Zeb's. That's assuming I can reach it because he's pretty tall.
yeah.
David Oyelowo as Agent Kalis, an influential member of the Imperial ground team who is tasked with overviewing Imperial activities. James Earl Jones as Darth Vader, seasons 1, 2, and 4, a powerful Sith Lord who was once the Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. You know what? We already know about him. Matt Lantner as Anakin Skywalker, a former Jedi Knight who becomes Darth Vader, because there are some backstories. Jason Isaacs as the Grand Inquisitor. David Shaughnessy is Commandant Cumberlane Arisco, and the Taskmaster Miles Grant. Liam O'Brien as Ugar Listi, Moral Sumar. Keith Sarbjaka as Cicatro Vizago. Kath Source as Methkatua, Mira Bridger. Phil Lamar is Bail Organa. Brent Spiner is Gall Travis in
Really,
season
as
one.
Bail
Yeah,
Organa, I thought that
that's
was a
Phil
great
Lamar.
job. That's a great job. I thought that it was Jimmy Smits.
Yeah. Dane Basco is Jai Kell. D. Bradley Baker is Cassius Constantine. Ephraim, he's also played him for Bridger and old Joe. Captain Rex, uh, Captain Gregor, also formed by Cassius Constantine did Captain Rex originally, but then eventually it was oh my God, the guy that actually voices him, who was all the clones.
Tamara Morrison?
Tamar Morrison. Thank you. Steven Stanton is Grand Moff Tarkin. He's also plays Ben Kenobi. Keon Young is Commander Jun Sato. Ian McDarman is Darth Sidious. Philip Anthony Rodriguez is fifth brother. Sarah Michelle Gellar is seventh sister. Jim Cummings is Hondo Ankara. It just Sam Witwer is Darth Maul. Darth Maul does come back in season 2 and 3. Lars Mikkelsen as Grand Admiral Thrawn, which
Hmm.
they actually brought him in to the Ahsoka series.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Tom Baker is the Bendu in season 3.
Um, for Obi-Wan Kenobi, you gave a name a minute ago. I thought that sounded like Ewan McGregor.
No, no,
The
no.
times I've seen him, that's pretty wild. They did a
Yeah,
great job with those
Steven Sin.
voices because
Yeah,
they sound like the actual person that I've seen on film.
yeah. Oh, Forrest Whitaker did reprised his role as Saul Guerrero, or maybe he was Saul Guerrero in this before he was Saul Guerrero in the other. Sharmila Devar as Ursa Wren, Retisis Rajan as Tristan Wren, Zachary Gordon as Mart Matten, Nathan Kress as Wedge Antilles, Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, Michael Bell as Jan Dodona, Warwick Davis as Rook. And plus, they had some other people who came in. James Arnold Taylor did play Obi-Wan Kenobi a few times. Anthony Daniels did voice C-3PO a few times. Um, Peter McNichol as Tasibo, the Biscuit. Frank Oz as Yoda. Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian. So they did get some of the original people. Gary Anthony Williams as Gron. Plus, people really wanted to do this. They made a total of 75 episodes from 2014 to 2018. Um, Originally, it was announced to replace the Clone Wars because they really wanted to get into the rebellion, the beginnings of the rebellion. This is before they had the idea of Ahsoka and all that other stuff.
Hmm.
But this show is a bridge. Uh, Graham Virtue of the Guardian wrote that the series was inspired by the television space western Firefly.
Oh, does it say that?
Yeah,
Oh, well,
yeah, that they actually,
look how smart I am.
yeah, they actually took some notes from Firefly because it's like, well, this is a great concept. Why don't we set it in the Star Wars universe and make them? Because again, they got to buy fuel, they got to have food, they,
Well,
they
and
got to
and that's
buy weapons.
and that's exactly what I said at the beginning of this episode. If you've got an itch and need just some new Firefly stuff, watch Rebels. It'll scratch that itch.
It will scratch that itch.
Or itch that scratch. Stop,
Yeah,
reverse it. Carry on.
yeah. It will scratch that itch. You will be happy. And they're, a ragtag. And Caleb Doom, it's not the main character's name. That's actually yes, that is his name.
Yeah, it is.
Um, but he goes by a different name.
Kanan.
Kanan Jarrus. Um, he uh he was with his master. His master got killed at the end in Order 66, and the stormtroopers chased him basically over the edge of a cliff, and he jumped.
Mhm.
Which I think you get in the Lost Tales episode, um, or Tales of the Jedi episode. He basically runs away, um, and he becomes a smuggler and a rebel, and honestly, this series takes place. Of course, you talked about we talked about the rebellion in Andor. They're like, it's a million little voices out there. It you haven't caught me, or you may have caught me, but you didn't stop this. It's already out there. This is one of those stories. This is one of those small group of rebels who sprang up, and occasionally they report to somebody. You find out later on the person
Don't
they're
tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, because I don't know who that is yet. All I know is that Fulcrum. That's all I know right
Oh,
now.
you don't know who Fulcrum is yet?
No,
You need
so
to keep watching.
do not tell me. Thank you.
You need to keep watching Fulcrum.
I'm going to continue watching. I wanted to stop you because I knew you were about to spoil that for me because
Yeah.
Fulcrum is still very unknown to me.
Oh, it's
Ah,
well, yeah,
ah. Carry on. Move past.
but
I don't want to know. I don't want
it's
to
part
know.
of my points. It's one of my points.
But I can't. Well, okay. Hold on one second. You can
Okay,
sickle me when I can come back.
okay. It's Ahsoka, kids.
Okay, there we go.
Do not listen to this episode for edits.
Okay, not going to listen to this episode for edits. Or when we get to this part, I'll take my headset off again for a
There you
little while.
go. There you
No,
go.
I
Wait till I do
appreciate that.
this.
I appreciate that because I can tell where I am in the show. I can tell that Fulcrum is going to be a surprise to me, that it's going to be
Yeah,
something I'm going to know because they build that up very well because where I am in the show, as far as I'm aware, Hera is the only one who knows who Fulcrum is.
yeah.
She is very pointed that she is not going to because Sabine is all pissed off about that she wants to know she wants to meet Fulcrum because
Well,
she wants to know.
and Hera's basically protecting Sabine.
Right, and she talks
It's not
about
just
that.
about protecting Fulcrum. It's like if
Right,
you don't know, you can't tell
right,
anybody.
right. She talks about that. If you were ever caught, you could tell. And Sabine is like, "Oh, well, I never would." And Hera's like, the Empire can make anybody talk."
Yeah,
So yeah, so thank you for letting me take off my headset because I do not know
sure.
who Fulcrum is yet.
Well, and what's amazing about and I'm just going to refer to them as the character of Fulcrum. The character of Fulcrum is basically, I don't want to say controlling the rebellion right now, but Fulcrum is like the intelligence arm of the new rebellion. They keep all the wires
Sure.
connected. And later on, you find out how they do that.
Hmm.
It's pretty amazing. Um, but yeah. So you got the Fulcrum character in the background, and Fulcrum even understands that they have to do side jobs to make money. Plus, it also helps with their cover as a bunch of smugglers. Um, so yeah, it's amazing, and it will scratch that itch.
Well, and
Um,
you do have to give a little bit of leniency or leeway in the show because as I'm watching it where I am right now, I'm sitting here wondering how the Imperials don't know who this group is because they have attacked them so many times
yeah,
and they've been seen. How does the Empire not know who they are? Because they
because the
do everything
Empire
on the
is
same damn planet.
they they kind of point this out. There are people in the Empire who are working with Fulcrum.
Sure. And
Yeah,
that's and of course
and the
we know that.
Empire is a kakactocracy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anytime you have a fascistic, uh, let's say fascistic, authoritarian. There's a better word because authoritarianism can be fascistic. It can be planned market communism. Anyway, authoritarian. We'll say it that way. Anytime you have an authoritarian system, the people under the authoritarian are constantly trying to one up each other to get in the authoritarian's good graces,
right.
so they end up just either fucking each other over, or they're so concerned about fucking each other over that they don't do their fucking jobs, which is why authoritarian regimes generally fail. Because, and I love that they pointed this out, because everybody there is not concerned about maintaining order. They're there trying to get up to the top of the pyramid.
You
You know,
still
they're
have you still have to maintain a sense of or an understanding or suspension of belief that these Imperials who are all in this city don't put two and two together
they don't
that
put two and two
this
together.
this little group of people who are walking around with weapons are possibly your saboteurs.
Maybe you're saboteurs. Yeah,
You know,
but again,
possibly we need to detain these people.
yeah, well, at least question them. But they don't. Well, sometimes they do. Yeah, you'll get a little further
Yeah,
on there in the second season.
yeah,
Because again, they wanted to center the first season completely around Lothal. They kind of get away from that by the second season. But it's a good way to introduce the concepts of kakoctocracy and how authoritarian regimes start small and work their way up. Um, it's really it's a beautiful allegory on how that sort of thing works, which is that's what Star Wars always was. It was Flash Gordon, B, it was Legend of the Hidden Temple, and C, it was an allegory for the Second World War.
hmm
Um, and let's not put too fine a point on it. Stalinist Russia as well, because even though they were against the Nazis, they were doing the same shit. They both invaded Poland. Um, both bad actors, and basically we picked the lesser of the two devils to work with, much to our chagrin. But yeah, it's brilliant and it's wonderful, and you can still watch it with your kids, even though they do kill stormtroopers. But you never see anybody die who has a face. Does that make sense?
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
you never see
you
anybody
you
die who has a face.
you've ruined
Well,
that for me.
until the very end.
Okay,
Um, but you definitely you get invested in these characters. You worry about if they're going to make it or not,
sure.
or when they get to Mandalore, Ren's got some decisions to make. So it's great. There's again, it's only 75 episodes, so it's not, and I think the first season is 15.
And they're like half-hour episodes. So
Yeah, yeah, really, really
well,
quick. You should.
not even that because you don't have commercials that you had when it was on
Yeah,
Disney.
it's like 22 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, they're
22
quick.
minutes, but if it's a complex
There's a
story,
lot that happens in those 22 minutes. It's
yeah,
really well done. It's very well paced. There are no slow moments that
no,
I've
there's
come across in
there's
Rebels
nothing
so far.
slow in this series at all. They may take a beat to drive a point home, but usually it's no longer than a beat or two. Um, some of the Mandalorian stuff in the fourth season, it's they do slow down the story a little bit because of they want you to make sure that they drive home the point of everything that's going on.
hmm
What happened to Mandalore? Because they wanted to talk about that because the Mandalorians at one point were this great soldiery force. What happened to them? Well, they tell you. You find out what happened to the Mandalorians, and it gets continued later on with Ahsoka and Bo-Katan. And Bo-Katan is in the series too. That's where they pulled her from.
Right.
Um, as
That
well
I
as
knew.
Saul Guerrera. and some of the other things. So if you really like Ahsoka and Andor and all that other stuff that takes place between the between the movies, this is right up your alley because it's dead center in the center of all of that action, but it's a different group. It's a small group of people. Um, and it's to me it's just brilliant. Um, and yeah, that's about it for Rebels, other than you should sit down and watch it. It's all on it. Disney XD.
Yeah.
If you
Disney
want,
Plus.
yeah,
Disney
Disney
Plus.
Plus.
Yep.
Yeah, it was on it. Disney XD. Disney
Correct.
XD doesn't exist anymore.
No.
It's on Disney Plus.
Yes.
You can also pick up the first season in our YouTube playlist, as well as just I've got just the first episode linked out, as well as some crucial and key scenes. Um,
All right. Sorry. If you're one of our nerdery fans, you need to have Disney Plus anyway. So go watch it
yeah,
on
yeah,
Disney
yeah,
Plus.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's one of the things you really kind of need.
Yeah. Yeah. Disney
Uh,
Plus. Disney Plus is a streaming service I will never get rid of.
yeah. Um, yeah, like HBO Max. I gotta have that for the DC stuff because again, I'm more of a DC kid than a Marvel kid. So, although having said that, as I look up my comic books, most of it is Vertigo, which well, that's a DC. So,
Yeah, and I'm Marvel, but yeah, I agree. From what I have seen so far, um, I have not been unimpressed with Rebels at all. I've really really enjoyed it. Like I said, just this past Friday night, I was like, okay, one more episode, then I'm gonna go to bed. Okay, one more episode, I'm going to bed. Okay, one more, and I just kind of kept going and going and going. I'm really looking forward to getting through this whole thing. I think I need to get into Bad Batch after that since I never watched Bad Batch.
Bad Batch is cool.
Um, I watched some of Clone Wars. Clone Wars was almost a little too kiddish for me.
Hmm.
So I don't know because, like I said, I like my Star Wars to be my Star Wars. I want it to be adult and blah 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 blah. Rebels really balance that very well.
Hmm.
So, and I know Bad Batch does. So I'll probably get into that. But I'm looking forward to watching
So
more
does
of
Clone
Rebels.
Wars
Does it?
later on.
Okay.
The first the 2D the 2D that Jenny Tartakovsky did,
Hmm.
the little shorts that they put together as episodes. Not crazy about those. And then the first season of the original 3D show wasn't crazy about. After you get past that first season, it's pretty good. It's like a Star Trek series.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad I started watching that. So, listeners, go give a watch to Rebels.
Sweet.
With that, I'll step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
For today, I got my information off Wikipedia, History, and Medium, and this is the murder of Kitty Genovese.
Kitty
Kitty,
Genovese.
or yeah, maybe that's how it's pronounced. Um, so Kitty Genovese was a woman who she was just trying to get home to her girlfriend, when unfortunately the wrong person spotted her and decided he had the right to end her life. The murder happened in Queens, New York in 1964 and is one of the most famous murder cases to come out of New York City and into the national spotlight.
Is she related to any other Genoveses?
Oh, I'm sure she is.
No, specific Genoveses.
I don't know which specific ones you're referring to. Um, I mean, I know who her parents are. I don't know much beyond that.
Vito
But
Genovese.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't recall any of that in any of my research.
Okay.
So,
He was head of the Genovese crime family.
right. No, I'm familiar with that. I just nothing that I found said she was.
Okay.
And I kind of suspect she wasn't because of what happened and you didn't hear about an upheaval because of this murder. So
Yeah.
I would suspect probably not. Um, but really what propelled this into the spotlight wasn't the crime itself or even the investigation, but the press coverage um, that the alleged murder had, which had many witnesses who refused to come forward for her defense. Um, This has been disproved over time, but not before it became a part of the accepted lore of the crime at all. So, Catherine Susan Kitty Genovese was the eldest child of Rachel and Vincent. They had five children. Kitty was born on July 7th, 1935, in Brooklyn. Throughout her teenage years, she attended Prospect Heights High School, which was an all-girls school. And by this time, she was described as being, quote, self-assured beyond her years and having a sunny disposition. But in 1954, Rachel witnessed a person being murdered and could no longer feel safe in the city. So she, Vincent, and their children moved to New Canaan, Connecticut. But Kitty remained in Brooklyn. She lived with her grandparents while awaiting her approaching marriage. That marriage did come about, but by the end of the year, it was annulled. And the reason was that Kitty had discovered that she was a lesbian. Kitty didn't leave Brooklyn. Instead, she worked clerical jobs she didn't like, and she found her own apartment. By the end of the 1950s, Kitty had been working as a bartender. She would lose this job in August of '61 after she was arrested alongside of her friend Dee Guarneri, for bookmaking. Kitty had been caught taking bets on horse races from bar patrons. Both were fined $50, which today is about $540. Kitty would find another job bartending at Ev's 11th Hour bar in Queens, uh, where she kind of got to more of a managerial role, mostly because the owner was usually absent. But her dream was to open an Italian restaurant, so she started taking on double shifts and started saving up towards this goal. By 1963, Kitty was living at a Kew Gardens apartment in Queens with her girlfriend Mary Ann Ziolonko, which brings us to the tragic day of March 13th, 1964. Kitty was driving home in her Fiat, and she stopped at a light on Hoover Avenue. But unbeknownst to her, she was spotted by Winston Mosley. She made it home around 3:15 a.m. and parked about 100 feet from the door to her apartment at the Kew Gardens Long Island Railroad Station. She parked in a rear alley behind the building, which had a parking lot. This is where she often did, if pretty much every day. Mosley had followed her in his own car, parking at a corner bus stop on Austin Street, and armed with a hunting knife, he approached Kitty. She ran towards the front of the building, with Mosley chasing after her. When he caught up, Mosley stabbed Kitty in the back twice. She cried out for help. Witnesses saying she said, quote, "Oh my God, he stabbed me, help me." Several neighbors had heard her screams. Luckily, one was brave enough to yell at Mosley, demanding that he, quote, "let the girl alone." Mosley fled, and Kitty, severely injured, managed to make it to the back of the building. Um, she got away from her attacker, but she was also out of the direct view of witnesses at this point. There were witnesses that saw Mosley get in his car and drive away. This is where the story should end, but it doesn't. It really should have been over, and Kitty got the help she deserved. Instead, Kitty remained in the alleyway behind her apartment, bleeding from the pair of stab wounds that were slowly killing her, and she didn't have enough strength to drag herself through the locked door. Mosley's car then came back after 10 minutes, and Mosley is said to have had a wide brim hat to shadow his face as he systematically searched for Kitty. Eventually, he found her half conscious in the alley, blocked from the safety of a locked door. And over the course of the next 30 minutes, Kitty was stabbed several more times, raped, and had $49 stolen from her. She had wounds to her hands, suggesting that she had tried to defend herself against Mosley. Sophia Farrar, who was a close friend and neighbor of Kitty's, found her shortly after the second attack was over. Kitty was still alive, but Sophia was only able to cradle and talk to her friend while they waited for an ambulance to arrive. At 4:15 a.m., an hour after the attack began, the ambulance arrived. Kitty, however, would not survive the trip to the hospital. She died en route. So her murder came came 4 years before New York City implemented the 911 emergency call system. And people were calling for help, but it wasn't treated with the same priority that a 911 call would today. Back then, people would have to call an operator and then be connected to police, or they'd have to dial the direct number from a phone book. One witness said his father had reported the first attack, which brings up the question of why the ambulance only arrived at 4:15 when the attack began an hour previously. Another call was made a few minutes after the second attack after getting advice from friends on what to do. Mary Ann, Kitty's girlfriend, was questioned by detectives at 7 a.m. on the morning after the murder. She was later interrogated for 6 hours by homicide detectives whose questioning centered on the relationship she had with Kitty. And Mary Ann was considered their initial suspect. But on March 19th, 1964, which was 6 days after the murder, Mosley was arrested for a suspected robbery in Ozone Park after a television set was discovered in the trunk of his car. The tip came after a local man, Raoul Cleary, became suspicious after seeing Mosley taking the television set from a neighbor's house. Raoul questioned Mosley about what he was doing, mostly claiming that he was just a removal worker. But another neighbor, Jack Brown, confirmed that the homeowners weren't moving out, and Raoul called the police while Jack disabled Mosley's car so he couldn't leave. And then a detective recognized Mosley's car as being similar to the one reported at Kitty's murder.
Whoa, he was
Uh,
stealing a television in 1964.
mhm.
Good God, that dude's strong.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how big the TV was.
Yeah,
Even in 64, they had smaller TVs.
that's true. That's true.
Um, you didn't necessarily have the big TVs like my grandparents had, there where you had a TV that was inside of this big old huge cabinet that sometimes was used as the foundation piece for a working TV on top of that.
Yes,
Those of you who grew up in the South know exactly what I'm talking about.
that's right. That's right. Oh, hey, it's a newer top TV. We just set it on top of the thing. And you could close the doors on the original TV if you had one of those consoles.
Yeah, yeah. So the similarity of the car led to questioning in which Mosley confessed to not only just Kitty's rape and murder, but a further two attacks. There was Annie Mae Johnson, who was a 24-year-old mother who was found murdered in her South Ozone Park apartment just a few weeks before Kitty's murder. She was shot repeatedly with a small caliber gun before being burnt. Barbara Kralik, who was a 15-year-old girl who was murdered in her bed inside the home she lived in with her parents in Springfield Gardens the previous July. His confession to Kitty's murder matched with the physical evidence and witness reports. He also claimed that he had only gone out that night wanting to, quote, to kill a woman, and they were his preferred victims, as, quote, they were easier and didn't fight back. On top of the three murders, he also confessed to around 30 to 40 burglaries. Mosley would only be charged with one of the crimes he confessed to, which was Kitty's murder. The trial began on June 8th, 1964. Mosley chose to plead not guilty before his attorney later pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity on his behalf. There were psychiatric examinations, and it was suggested that Mosley was a necrophile, but it was found that he was able to go through the trial. The jury spent 7 hours deliberating before reaching a guilty verdict at around 10:30 p.m. on June 11th, and Winston Mosley was sentenced to death on the 15th. Once again, here's where the story should end. Mosley sentenced to death, and Kitty was sent to be with her family in New Canaan, Connecticut, but this is not where the story ends. On June 1st, 1967, the New York Court of Appeals found that Mosley should have been able to argue that he was medically insane at the sentencing. His sentence was then reduced to life imprisonment instead of death. And then on March 18th, 1968, Mosley escaped while being transported from a Meyer Memorial Hospital in Buffalo, where he'd undergone a minor surgery for a self-inflicted injury. He'd hit a transporting officer, stolen his weapon, and fled to a nearby vacant house owned by Mr. and Mrs. Kalugas. He managed to stay there undetected for 3 days, and he was found when Mr. and Mrs. Kalugas went to check on their property. Mosley surprised them, holding the pair hostage for an hour, binding and gagging Mr. Kaluga before raping Mrs. Kaluga, and then he stole their car and fled the scene. By the next day, he had traveled to Grand Island, where he broke into yet another house. Guy ain't smart. And held a
No,
woman
I
in.
mean he's still in the New England area. Head west, young man.
He broke into another house where he held a woman and her daughter hostage for 2 hours. He thankfully allowed them to go unharmed before he surrendered himself to the police. Mostly was charged with escape and kidnapping, pleading guilty to both charges and sentenced to two additional 14-year sentences to run concurrently with his life sentence. Once again, This is where the story should end, but it does not.
I
Um,
also I'm gonna pause you real quick. I was just
yeah.
looking at a picture of the stuff as you were talking about it.
Hmm.
So she gets the first attack in front of the Tudor building apartment that she lives in, which has shops in the bottom first floor,
Right.
and the second floor is where the apartments are. So she
Right.
gets attacked near the front door. She runs around past a bookstore, a drugstore. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I could see how those wouldn't be open. But then she turns the corner and there's a coffee shop on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And she tries to run into the door, and that's where she collapses. And that's where she gets attacked the second time.
Yep. And we're gonna
Okay.
get to that. We're
Okay.
we're
All right.
almost to
Was the
there.
co- I see the bookstore not being open, even though it's New York and they say it never closes, and the drugstore not being open in 1964 or 1963.
Hmm.
The coffee shop, I'm assuming, was 24 hours.
Don't know. Don't have that
Okay.
as part of the story, but exactly what you're talking about comes into play here very quickly.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I hated to stop
No,
you,
no,
but
you're fine. You're fine because you're trust me. That's all part of the story
okay.
and part of the lore of this
And
because
do you
it's
need that picture? Because I can. If you don't have it for our stuff, I will send you a copy.
yeah, that's fine. You can just send me a link to it.
Okay.
Again, the story doesn't end here. Mosley was involved in the Attica prison riots in September of 1971, and he got his Bachelor of Associate or Bachelor of Arts in Sociology in the 70s. He became eligible for parole in 1984, and during the first hearing, he told the parole board that the notoriety he faced due to his crimes made him a victim. And he said, quote, for a victim outside, it's a one-time or 1 hour or 1 minute affair, but for the person who's caught, it's forever. In the same hearing, he claimed he had never intended to kill Kitty, and he considered her murder only to be a mugging because, quote, people do kill people when they mug them sometimes. So he was denied parole, and he was further denied 18 times. His
Mm-hmm.
final attempt in November of 2015,
He he's still alive.
no, he didn't get to try again because he did die in prison March 28th, 2016, at the age of 81 years old.
Okay.
So the part about this case that draws so much attention is because of the number of witnesses to Kitty's murder. And this is where I was talking about. We're getting to this point. The lore of this is 38 people witnessed the attack. One neighbor saw part of the attack, waited, and made another neighbor call the police as they, quote, didn't want to get involved. There are reports that one man who apparently viewed the murder from his third floor apartment window stated later that he rushed to turn up his radio so he wouldn't hear the woman's screams. Kitty's murder didn't change this area at all. Just 10 years later, a 25-year-old woman, Sandra Zoller, was beaten to death early Christmas morning in an apartment within a building that overlooked the site of Kitty's murder. Neighbors heard her being beaten and heard the screams and sounds of a fierce struggle, but they did nothing. There have been arguments against the 38 witnesses' claim by saying that people hadn't understood what they were seeing or hearing. Some thought they were in a domestic quarrel or were a pair of drunk friends walking home. There are also claims that Kitty's lungs were punctured during the first attack, meaning she wouldn't be able to scream at any volume. But it does raise the question, uh, is a person a witness even if they don't understand what they saw or heard? Um,
Well, I
so,
see what
so
you're saying.
yeah. So this incident prompted inquiries into what became known as the bystander effect or Genovese syndrome, and the murder became a staple of U.S. psychology textbooks for the next 4 decades. I heard about this story when I took psychology in college.
Okay.
I was very familiar with this because this is like I said the 38 witness murder. Researchers, though, have uncovered major inaccuracies in the Times article, and police interviews revealed that some witnesses had attempted to contact authorities. In 1964, reporters at a competing news organization discovered that the Times article was inconsistent with the facts, but they were unwilling at the time to challenge Times editor Abe Rosenthal. In 2007, an article in the American Psychologist found no evidence for the presence of 38 witnesses, or that witnesses observed the murder, or that witnesses remained inactive. In 2016, the Times called its own reporting flawed, stating that the original story grossly exaggerated the number of witnesses and what they had perceived. So that's why this story has gone down in lore in New York City because we went for a very, very long time with the 38 witnesses case.
Yeah.
Again, I studied this in psychology in college, and I've known about this case for a very long time. Um, they say that the reporting was flawed, but there's also the fact that they say that a lot of people didn't realize what they were seeing. But at the same time, I kind of go back to those witnesses that said that maybe it was a lover's quarrel or it was two drunk friends. You still say something, you still do
Hmm.
something. People are obviously having a fight. If it was lovers having a quarrel and they're having a domestic argument,
Hmm.
that heinous in public, you should call the police because
Yeah.
guess what? Someone could fucking die.
That's right.
If you have two drunk friends who are drunk in the street and brawling, someone could
Someone,
fucking die.
someone could fucking die. Someone
Um,
could fucking die.
right, because you're not in your right mind at that. Now, granted, one would think if it's a man and a woman having it, which this was, it was a man and a woman. If you have a man and a woman who are having an argument in the street, they might be enough of their right mind to not go to homicidal tendencies, but
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah. You don't know that. You
In
don't
the
know these people
case
from Adam.
in the case of two drunk people, I think that statistic goes higher
Oh, yeah.
that there could be homicidal tendencies. Somebody picks up a brick, a stick off the ground, a broken bottle because the fight has escalated to that point. You had the you did have the witness that hollered out, leave her alone. They did see something. Um, if the police had been called sooner, even though the 911 system was not in place yet,
Yeah.
Kitty might have lived through this.
Well, and there's a police call box at the corner too. It's also in that picture.
Yeah, yeah. So Kitty could have lived.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe not. Two stab wounds in the back is pretty bad, especially if one did puncture her lung. She
Yeah.
could have drowned. She could have
Yeah.
drowned by blood rushing into the lungs.
Again, we're also talking about 1964. The
Right,
medical, yeah. People don't realize, and I think the reason that you and I realize it is because we've been in the medical industry, even though not from a medical standpoint, from a
right,
support standpoint,
right.
how much medicine has increased in the last 20 years.
Oh, sure, sure, absolutely.
People, I don't think people really realize that 1964 might as well be 1864.
Sure.
Yeah,
Per,
as
per,
far away
per,
as we are from it now.
perfect example for this. Let's go back. Let's go back 50 years,
Uh-huh.
and you have to get your gallbladder removed.
Uh-huh.
That's going to be major surgery.
Uh-huh.
You're going to have a hospital stay,
Uh-huh.
probably, I would assume, probably 4 days.
Uh-huh.
A very large scar because they're going to open you up and take out your
Uh-huh.
gallbladder.
Uh-huh.
Let's fast forward because I said back to the 50s. Let's fast forward to 1999. The reason I'm saying 1999 specifically is because I had my gallbladder removed December 30th, 1999. I will never
Yeah, that's
forget that
right.
date. I will never forget that date because Y2K was right around the corner.
Hmm.
So December 30th, 1999, I had gallbladder surgery. I
I think Don had it like the next year or like the
I
year after that.
I think so. It wasn't
Yeah.
too far away.
Because I
Um,
kept thinking, oh my God, I'm so close now. My gallbladder's still fine.
so I had to have my gallbladder removed December 30th, 1999. I went to the hospital at 11 a.m.
Hmm.
They did all my check-in. They got me into pre-op. They put me under. I woke up, if I remember right, about 9 or 10 o'clock that night is when I first became aware. Um, and I was discharged and sent home at midnight. 13 hours I was in that hospital. And
Hmm.
the only reason I had that 2 to 3 hour time period in post-op is because they mandate that you have to pee before you leave. They have to make sure your
Hmm.
bladder is still working.
Yeah.
And I couldn't pee. I kept trying. I'm like, I just want to pee.
You
And
need to be able to pass gas and urinate.
I was the last patient there, and I know these poor nurses wanted to go home, and I'll never forget. The nurse helped me up. I took me to the bathroom, and she stayed outside the door as I'm standing there, and I heard her outside. I started peeing, and I heard her outside the door going, "I hear peeing. Are we good?" And I went, "Yes, but it burns,"
Yeah.
because I'd been, I had a catheter in my,
Yeah.
you know, in my in my
In your
panoose,
hooter.
in my panoose. So yeah, so it was, there it was a little raw. But yeah, so 13 hours from the time I checked in, being put under, to having the surgery and check out. I was home in 13 hours. I was not incapacitated, but I was basically stuck at home for 2 days. Because I was sore. I was sore,
Hmm.
almost like somebody had like repeatedly punched me in the side.
Yeah.
I was just very sore, or you had a real massive heavy workout. I was very, very sore. So all told, God, this was the long story to get here. All told, my gallbladder surgery basically took 3 days.
Hmm.
I guarantee back in the 50s, a
It was
week
two. It
minimum,
was 2 weeks.
we even longer. Yes, because it was a much longer recovery time. And this was considered day surgery, and is also gallbladder surgery is now considered routine.
Yeah.
It's not major surgery anymore. And that's
I
that's
bet. I bet. It's even cut down from the time period from 1999 at this
Oh,
point.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I just brought up 99 just because I wanted to give that example because I have
Yeah.
personal experience with that. Yeah, my friend Faith, I talked about Billy and Faith who listened to our show. Faith just had her gallbladder out a few weeks ago. She was also in and out. Yeah, she was in and out same day, and she was back to golfing within a few days.
Holy crap.
And I'll guarantee in 99, I couldn't have golfed after a few days. I
Yeah.
remember I remember I went back to work on day three, um, and it was very sore and painful to drive my car.
Yeah. All of this to say that medicine in 1964 was not where it could be.
Correct. Sorry. That was the long route to get to that point. And I'm so sorry, listeners. That was a long route to get to that point. Yeah, exactly. Could she have lived through those two stab wounds? Possibly.
Yeah.
It's not a if you get two stab wounds in the back today and they can get to you within an hour, you can probably live. There's going to be
Yeah.
a big recovery. You're going to
Yeah.
go through a lot of therapy, but you stand a much better chance today at
Yeah.
surviving versus 1964 if they get to you in time.
Yeah.
Today with 911, you're going to have an ambulance there within minutes, and you're going to be in surgery,
Yeah.
soon enough. But in 1964, number one, the ambulance didn't get there quickly. She died on the way to the hospital, and she may have died from those two stab wounds to the back, although she was stabbed multiple more time, a whole bunch more times, which further complicated this. Um, but yeah, who knows? But it takes us back to the 38 witnesses, whether there were 38 witnesses or not. Ziggy is right. There are enough businesses around there. This is not a remote area. This is in the middle of a massive city, and there's people everywhere. And so there were people that probably could have said something and potentially saved her life in a much more
She had to
expedient
go
manner.
into the door right next to the coffee shop. And again, I don't know whether or not that coffee shop was 24 hours.
I
I'm
do not know.
assuming the pharmacy and the bookstore were not. She had to go
Right,
past those as well.
right.
But
There's
I guarantee
probably
you
a
that coffee shop was.
there's probably a high likelihood that that was open 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's not like it's uncommon for a coffee shop to be open 24 hours.
No.
So there's probably a high likelihood, but anyway, like I said, I've known about this case for a very long time. I studied about it in psychology, and so when I was kind of researching and thinking, oh, what do I want to study about this week? I was like, oh, hey, I remember this case. I ran across it looking up some
Yeah.
other stuff, and I was like, oh, I remember this case. So I found it very interesting. I hope our listeners did as well. But that's the case of the murder of Kitty Genovese.
Well, thank you very much, sir.
You bet.
Appreciate that, man.
So that will take us to the end of another recording week. As always, you can find more about us on nerderymurdery.com. That's our hub, that's our website, that's everything that's about us. You'll find links and pictures from the things we talk about, as well as the link to our YouTube page, which Zig so often updates.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely check this one out because you're going to get a whole bunch of rebels in there.
Sweet. Thank you for all your work on that.
Thank you, sir.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page, which if you wish to show off your nerdery murdery fandom, please do consider something from there. You'll also find the link to our Patreon. Our patrons, along with our purchasers of merchandise, do help that are with the costs that are associated with this show. It costs to keep us on the air for our storage, for our uploads, for our website, and everything like that. So please do consider either purchasing merchandise or becoming a patron. With your patronage, you do get episodes as soon as they're available, generally within days of us
Hmm.
doing recordings. So you're way more current than anybody who listens to our show.
That is true. Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. And the last thing you can do that's completely free to you, that only takes a couple of minutes, is please leave a 5-star review wherever you can. You can do it on Audible, you can do it on Spotify, you can do it on Apple, but we appreciate those reviews, those 5-star reviews. We that really helps us, helps others find our content that may be looking for the information that we discuss. And last but certainly not least, to our good friend Chuck, you can go to bed now.
Good night, Chuck.
Good night, Chuck. With that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
and I'm Jeffrey with your murdering.
Cue the music.